What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Ty and Bob Pod right here at your home for long form journalism in pro football. Go long at golongtd.com and, of course, Substack, which has an exceptional app. Make sure you download that, turn those notifications on for every story, every podcast, some Substack lives. I actually was going to record a Substack live today from Green Bay, Wisconsin, but that will be delayed until tomorrow, which is actually today for you if you're listening on a Wednesday. So make sure you check out all of our stuff there on Substack, and of course, it's all in your email inbox. What a pleasure to be reunited this week with your friend, with my friend, the one and only Bob McGinn. Bob, we haven't even started. You look exhausted. You got the Okay, you're not your head's not on your fist anymore. Are you good? You feeling good?
I walked 18 holes today in 47-degree weather. I mean, I
Wow.
always walk, and I played terrible first time in 3 weeks. It was brutal, but I'm playing tomorrow and hopeful of a better outing.
So does that like stick with you when you golf a pour around? Do you just like
Yeah,
toss and turn all night?
yes, I'm going to be playing these horrible shots today. Really bad with
Ah,
the driver, Tyler.
it's okay. Hey, there's always next time.
Tomorrow
And
morning.
yeah,
Yep.
I've got a little new Glarus spotted
Oh,
cow for the festivities. I figure, when in Wisconsin, great to be back. I I kind of hesitate to even say I'm here to our readers and our subscribers because I've been wanting to do like a live hangout for the OGs. We've been emailing each other talking about it, but I hope they'll understand because I'm out here for a few days and it is just extremely busy working on several different stories that will be rolling out into the near future. So we'll have to hit pause on the shindig, but we'll make it happen. We have to make it happen. Maybe we even convince Bob to return to the motherland. I don't know.
I haven't been there in a while.
I see Mike McCarthy Way. There should be a Bob McGinn Boulevard or something.
An
Which
alley,
an alley. I like it.
dark alley.
A dark alley. The dark alleys of Green Bay. You don't know what's going to happen on Bob McGinn
No,
Alley. You
no,
might
you
get
don't.
mugged. You might get robbed. You know what's funny with that Mike McCarthy Street? If my memory serves me correct, we were on the beat when they renamed that. What was it before?
Oh, jeez. Oh, Tyler, what was that? It's a long street. What
Well,
was that
I'm getting
called?
to that. I don't remember what it was before, but gosh, maybe our beat partner Tom Silverstein had the details on this. I vaguely remember Mike McCarthy, Mike being pissed that it was going to be like Ashland, which is a really long street, right? Like that goes. I don't know how long Ashland Avenue is. But it's a lot longer than the current Mike McCarthy way. And then Mike was pissed that they
Was
changed
he?
their mind and they gave him a smaller street than the original plans. If he won a couple more Super Bowls, maybe they would have done it. I don't know.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tough times for Mike in Dallas. You see, Micah Parsons called him out for like not working as hard as the players in so many words.
No.
Yeah, it
Wow.
was pretty ugly. It was pretty ugly. He's backtracking and blaming the media as they always do. And Mike McCarthy said they met and talked like men. I don't know. My mind just went back to what a few Packer players told me for that Bleacher Report story in 2018 that Mike might have missed a meeting or two for a massage or two. I'm just saying. Micah Parsons isn't just making stuff up there. There could be a little meat on the bone when it comes to the work ethic.
As they
But at the
say.
same time, I empathize for Mike McCarthy because he's working for a clown of an owner in Jerry Jones. I mean, it's an absolute tire fire down there in Jerry's world. We've got a lot to discuss, Bob. Green Bay had a bye week, so obviously no Packers game to dissect for the masses here. But when it comes to quarterback play, the yin to Green Bay's yang forever has been the Chicago Bears. Here's Green Bay going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, a half century of absolute quarterback ecstasy. And the Chicago Bears, their all-time leading passer is, I believe, Eric Kramer, 95. It wasn't even 4,000 yards.
Yeah.
Quarterback position has mostly been abysmal for a century. We've covered it at Go Long. Everything that happened with Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields, for example, it blows your mind. I mean, a lot of these quarterbacks lack in the talent department and probably were never really going to work out. But the way that the Bears just manage to screw things up is it's almost an art form, really. I mean, Trubisky takes you within a double doink of the divisional playoff round. You think you can win with him. You've got this great defense. You bring in Brad Childers. He turns all those coaches against him. His confidence is shot before you even play a game the next year. Just stuff like that. We're going to really get into this Bears quarterback situation because Bob has probably been studying Caleb Williams and his performance as closely, if not more closely, than just about anybody else. So cannot wait to hear what Bob has to say about the number 1 overall pick. Offensive coordinator Shane Waldron is the first to go. You knew that would happen. Matt Eberflus isn't going to fire himself. Obviously on the hot seat now. And is Caleb Williams good? Is he not good? We're gonna find out from Bob very soon. The Minnesota Vikings, they squeak by the Jacksonville Jaguars 12-7. I watched that game, Bob. I loved it. Quarterback play is abysmal, but that defense just rendered Mac Jones into a puddle of goo on Bob McGinn Alley. Right? It looked like they were in Bob McGinn Alley in that game, just blitzing from all different directions. The Vikings beat the hell out of him. At one point, Mac Jones is throwing a temper tantrum like a 3-year-old at daycare. Mac Jones can throw a really good temper tantrum. I'll give him that. He hasn't really played quarterback that well, but man, he can bitch and complain and walk right by Doug Peterson without even looking at him. So we'll talk about that. And thirdly, the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff throws 5 interceptions and they win. Holy hell, that game was bonkers. I think we got to start at the start, though, Bob. Caleb Williams, first overall pick, Chicago Bears. Everybody's jacked. Everybody's excited. The Bears fans have been on cloud 9 all offseason long. There's been moments through September and October, and now everything's falling apart. Who do you point the blame at for the latest Bears quarterback malfunction?
Well, I did that thing on Jaden Daniels, remember after about 3 or 4 games, and I said, are the Bears Ryan Poles, are the Bears going to just regret this? And then he started playing. He had a couple, 3 good games. I mean, I thought Daniels was better than Williams last April. There's this stuff about Williams being a prima donna, and Tyler, he's short. He's getting balls batted. He does not handle the pocket well. He's taken 38 sacks. 38. That's en route for, what are they, 4 and 5, 70 or something like that. He's a little guy. He's not seeing the field very well. Yeah, he can scramble. That's been okay. Yes, he can throw some beautiful balls. There was a dart in traffic on a slant to Keenan Allen for 8, and I wrote down, wow, exclamation point. I mean, has ever a young quarterback ever been surrounded by such wide receiver and tight ends? No, that's what everybody thought. Moore, Odunze, and Allen with Cole Kmet and a Swift on screens. That's an arsenal that most NFL teams would die to have. In this game, the 2 starting tackles weren't there, Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright, no question. A lot of pressure in his face, no question. We're talking about 9 games. Now, there was something that came out today after they fired Shane Waldron, who I've never spoken to him. I don't know much about him, Tyler. And then they elevated Thomas Brown. These guys are McVay disciples. I saw a lot of Tyson Bagent last year. He started 4 games, the free agent. He went 2-2. He ran the ball well for like 3 touchdowns. He played pretty darn good as a rookie, Tyler, just thrown in there. Would he be more effective than Williams right now? I mean, they're 4-5. They're not out of anything. I know they have a brutal schedule, but there's only, I think, 8 or 9 teams in the conference ahead of them. 7 are going to get in. I mean, they're not that far removed. Would Bajent be better? I liked Bajent a lot last year, Tyler. I really did. That kid's got a lot of guts, like his old man, the wrist wrestler. Um, I don't know. So there's problems. Let's look at Williams in this game.
Would you though? Like, answer your own question. Would you bench Caleb Williams for Tyson Bagent right now?
I think so. I think so. He's just going to get hurt. The tackles, I don't know if they're going to play this week against Green Bay. But you starting Larry Borum on the left side and then that lumbering Matt Pryor at right. Tevin Jenkins probably won't play the left guard. I mean, you're talking Doug Kramer who went in there and he had a really rough game when he played the last 2.5 quarters. I think I'd go with Bagent. Just let the furor subside a little bit. Get the pressure off the guy. I'd start him. I mean, this kid's got fresh legs. He's got a lot of guts. He can throw the ball, Tyler. Now, there's reports that a couple veteran players have gone to the coaches there and mentioned Bagent. Now, Williams, his reaction, I'm sure, would be, at least publicly, it'd be terrible. Maybe privately, he'd like to step away from this mess. I don't know.
It'd be insane, though. I mean, he's the first overall pick. He's the Heisman winner. He's the anointed one. Can do all of these special things. To get benched for Tyson Bagent as a rookie, aren't you publicly broadcasting to all that he's not good and you're doing it really early into his career? Like, how do you come back from that if
you can
franchise?
Yeah, you can come back from it. Next year is a whole nother year, Tyler. He can mature and have an off season and practices even now with these receivers he's got. Odunze and Moore will be there. Komet will be there. I don't know. I mean, right now, he's going to get hurt. It's amazing he's been sacked 38 times and he hasn't been hurt. How many times has he run the ball? 40? So he's been hit 78 times. It's inevitable. He's going to get hurt. The line's a mess. Everything's a mess. You got a new coordinator who's been on staff as passing game coordinator. Upheaval. I'd play Bagent. Now let's just look at Williams in this game.
You're just looking after him. You're like a good parent wanting to hold him back a grade. Yep. That's all. That's all.
The ball for a sack. 5.7 seconds. 3rd and 7 on the New England 31. Holds the ball, takes a sack in 3.7. -8 on the sack. He goes backwards. He bails out on these sacks. They had to punt instead of a field goal. Terrible low ball to Moore on 3rd and 4, incomplete. 4th and 4 at the New England 36. He scrambles, got a first down, got 5. Threw wide and high on an out to Odunze. Terrible bootleg toss to Komet in the dirt, incomplete. Bad ball, incomplete. Tipped by 2 New England guys, could have been picked. Then he takes sacks on 4.2, 3.8. Tyler, I hate saying this, but he was outplayed and out everything by Drake May. And that's a terrible offensive line Drake May has with wide receivers Kayshon Boutte, Demario Douglas, KJ Osborne. I mean, Jalen Polk. They got nothing. They got a good tight end. They have nothing. And May actually looked better. And he's started, 4 or 5 games for New England? I can't believe I'm saying that because all that scout talk that I got last April and March was that May was not going to measure up. Throws a nice ball. He's a good athlete. He's a big, strong guy, Tyler. This guy is not a big, strong guy.
Can I just add this as well? In the aforementioned You're Up Caleb Williams 2-parter that we had at Go Long back in the spring, I chatted with Eric Kramer, the single season all-time record holder for the Bears, which is still crazy to say. And he maintained throughout the entire pre-draft process that the Bears should draft Drake May, number 1, or trade down for Bo Nix. He thought Drake May should have been the pick. Uh,
Wow.
so I just pulled that story up. Kramer said that he views May as, quote, every bit the athlete as Williams outside the pocket, only bigger, only stronger, and it's not even close to him. Quote, you can't watch an NFL game today without watching the West Coast passing game. Either guy would be awesome in that style, talking May or Knicks. Plus, they can both create when stuff breaks down. And Caleb Williams, to me, he's kind of a different version of the guy they just had, Justin Fields. He's probably better than Justin, but I think he drops back, and this for sure was Justin Fields. He drops back, waits for the rush to come, then creates something, and you can't sustain that in a length of time.
Yeah.
And he had a lot more to say on the topic, but hey, let's let this play out, right? I still I still like Caleb Williams, but Eric Kramer might be onto something.
I mean, Chicago is just dying for a quarterback. I mean, Sid Luckman is still the best they ever had. Jim McMahon, his career was ruined by Charlie Martin of the Packers with the body slam. And then Cutler, Trubisky, Fields, and now this guy. I mean, it's just it's beyond shameful that they can't solve this position. And I mean, the coach is dead man walking, and the GM might go at the end of this year. And they got a stadium they're not happy with. That's going to have to change. It's a total mess. I picked them to make the playoffs. Did you? The Bears?
I don't even want to look up my predictions because I remember being fairly high on those New York Giants, the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, let's just do some midseason predictions. How about that, Bob?
Tyler, I don't see guys when DJ Moore on first play of the third quarter, like he comes out of the locker room, they throw the ball on the left flat to him. Extra effort. He must have gained 4 or 5 extra yards. No, about 8 extra yards for a gain of about 12 on a quick screen. On offense, I don't see much of anything other that stood out so much. You see those kind of efforts by Detroit, to a lesser extent Green Bay. You just don't see that. I don't see Eberflus reaching this offense, or Waldron, or Thomas Brown, the pass game guy. All right, let's look at some of their players. I mean, New England's really a bad team, and Chicago just got booed off the field at halftime. It's the first time in 20 years the Bears haven't scored a touchdown in 2 straight games. Poorly designed passing game. Roma Dunze's got a drop on 3rd and 4. I mean, that doesn't help Williams, obviously. Kmet, 3rd and 6. He's in the slot. He's trying to get separation against that Pettis guy, Del Pettis, undrafted rookie. He can't get any separation. Ball flutters incomplete. That's not helping Caleb Williams. Keenan Allen, I mean, they throw a screen out there and he makes just a horrible block. His receiving colleague, I can't remember who it was, -3. That's not helping Caleb Williams. There's just terrible effort around on this team, at least on offense. I like a lot of things that are going on defense. Their line, okay, 2 starting tackles out. I mean, Pryor, they moved him from right guard to right tackle. I mean, he can't play out there. Larry Borum, he's been there about 4 years. I kind of like the guy, but he had some bad runs, gave up a sack. They put this Kramer guy, Doug Kramer, a 6th-round pick 3 years ago. He's getting beat by that Farms from New England, Jeremiah Farms, street free agent a couple of years ago. Shelton's battling the inside player. Bates, they get him back from injured list from who they acquired in the trade from Buffalo. He had all kinds of problems with Keon White. I got a flush, a knockdown, and a sack, all to White, all when he came into the game. Swift, he was okay. So that's their offense. I mean, New England getting 9 sacks, that tied for the second most in New England's history. All those great defenses by Bill Belichick. Only once in his history did he get more than 9.
Not bad for a soft football team.
Holding the ball, running into sacks, not seeing it, short. He's got courage in the pocket. That's not the problem. I don't think his eyes are going down. I don't see that happening. He's just not handling himself well in the pocket. He's not sensing pressure, and his escape routes are not working in the NFL. Maybe all that worked in the Pac-12, but I mean, it's not here. People are chasing him down, batting his balls down. Poorly coached offenses did not help him. I mean, it's just a disaster. Jeez.
Great breakdown. You know, who comes to mind? And this is actually kind of generous if you're throwing this name around, considering what we've seen out of Caleb Williams. But remember Reggie Bush when he gets drafted, and we all fully expected him to just light the NFL on fire. Maybe the most exciting college player I've ever seen in my life. You just didn't know what he was going to do next. And he gets to the NFL, and everybody's a little faster, a little stronger, a little more instinctual, and these ridiculous asinine plays he'd make in college just didn't fly in the NFL. And I played different positions, I get it, but I mean, Caleb Williams did the same kind of stuff. He was electric in college. His escapability, his improvisation, uh, had to create down to down, game to game, and he did it. But you just mentioned escape routes and not knowing how to get out of jams, get out of pressure, and the shit that he got away with in college, it's not working in the NFL. And will it ever work? We don't know.
And there was a lot of talk.
Pocket, and you can't win from the pocket when your line can't block.
And there was a lot of talk about his background, his interest off the field, his attitude, all this kind of stuff. I don't know anything about how that's gone in Chicago. Only people inside that would know that. But I wonder about that too, because there were questions about that.
True. I heard the same stuff.
I need to mention this. I mean, it was very windy, gusts to 30, 35. That was a problem. It wasn't cold, I don't think. What was the temp? No, it was 60 degrees. When the game started, the wind was at 6, but it was gusty. The weather wasn't a problem. May handled it. He's got a worse supporting cast than Caleb Williams. All right, let's look at their defense. Tyler, now they start their gauntlet. They're going to get killed by Josh Jacobs. They lost Andrew Billings, a nose tackle that I really like and the scouts liked on the team last week. Their run defense. Okay, so they played with Byron Court played 19 inside. Pickens, the second-year guy who's been kind of, I won't call him a bust yet, but he played 31. He was not impressive. And they're playing Chris Williams, the journeyman. He plays 20. These guys can't hold Andrew Billings' jock. Billings is a really good player, Tyler. He's the fulcrum of their defense, man. He helps T.J. Edwards make all these tackles. And Edwards was voted the best inside backer in the division. So that's they got a hole at nose tackle that they can't solve. Javon Dexter, he did some good things in this game. He's the 3 tech. Montez Sweat, I think he's playing hurt, but he was up-matched against a terrible right tackle, DeMontre Jacobs, and he had 2 pressures. I thought he almost should have dominated the game, and he couldn't get after May against DeMontre Jacobs. The other pass rushers, Booker, Martin, Robinson. Martin was the most impressive, actually. Nothing out of DeMarcus Walker. The backers, Edwards and Edmonds, they're fine. Sanborn's fine. In the secondary, well, they made a move at corner. Tyreek Stevenson, who had the debacle in Washington. I mean, he's been playing every snap. Well, in this game, he only played 37. He was alternating with Terrell Smith, who played 27. He's from Minnesota. So that'll be worth noting. Kyler Gordon, he was voted, or I put him as the number 1 nickel at a real stacked position in the division. He didn't look good in this game. It's about the poorest I've ever seen. He got beat by the tight end Hooper, man coverage on a corner for 28. He did have some real hard hits, however, but he didn't look that great in coverage. Special teams. Very poor game for Torrey Taylor, the rookie punter. 8 punts, net of 33-8. That didn't help Chicago. Santos made one field goal. So it was a disaster. They just got pounded by the New England Patriots. Gerard Mayo and Elliott Wolf. Elliott's running the front office in the draft. Big victory for New England. And so now the Bears start this. I mean, they could finish 4-13. They're 4-5. They could.
Any more on Drake May while we're on this game?
I wasn't studying him, Tyler. I just saw enough. I mean, no, I don't have 15 to 25. He was throwing short shots. I mean, he's got no receivers to get deep. He just doesn't have people. He was just handing the ball off. He scrambled 4 times for 24. Good. Um, he didn't fumble. He played good. He just outplayed Caleb Williams, and that really kind of shocked me. Totally shocked me because I didn't have many people last spring who really liked May.
Well, Elliott did. Joe Shane and the New York Giants, they inquired. We
Hmm.
saw it on Hard Knocks. I talked to Joe about it. They were interested in Drake May,
Hmm.
and they got the sense that Elliott didn't want to budge. The Patriots didn't want to budge. Now, I do wonder if they could have gone full Godfather, make him an offer they cannot refuse. It didn't get to that level, so they didn't throw the kitchen sink at Elliott Wolf. I don't think Elliott Wolf would have done it still because ownership is telling him, Robert Kraft, that he wants a quarterback. Elliott technically doesn't have the GM title yet, so you're probably going to do what the owner tells you to do. So he's a Patriot. Uh, it was fascinating to talk to Ron Wolf about. You've had several conversations with Ron about everything that led to Brett Favre as well, and he had the conviction on Brett Favre. Elliott Wolf had conviction on Baker Mayfield when he was second line with John
Hmm.
Dorsey,
Hmm.
and so they go the Mayfield route there, and I'd say they've been obviously Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, superior quarterbacks, but vindicated in some ways with what the Browns have done since they've left. And Baker looks damn good now. Drake May's his guy. I'm really interested to see where this goes. Did he find his own Favre? He sure hopes so.
Tyler, do you think Caleb Williams will ever be voted, not injury replacement, voted to a Pro Bowl, NFC Pro Bowl? You just got to be one of 3 out of 16 teams. It's not the hardest thing in the world to get. Do you think he will get one?
I do. I still believe in Caleb
Uh,
Williams. Through all of this, I feel like number one, it's coaching. Number two, it's the line. Um, they've, I mean, if Ben Johnson is drawing up plays, if they find a tackle, I would think it's a totally different story. Um, I know we got these other games to get to, but as you're breaking down the Bears and the state of affairs there, how can you not compare what Ryan Poles has done? Then he's got the arranged marriage with Matt Eberflus. They didn't really. I'm sure they worked fine together, I guess, but they were kind of brought together in this awkward way, I was told. Not exactly Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, and they haven't exactly built the same way. And with the Lions, they're going offensive line. They're not obsessing over quarterback out of the chute. They're drafting Penei Sewell. They're building in the trenches. They're seeking a very specific type of competitor. And yeah, they take Jared Goff as almost collateral damage for the draft picks. And the Bears, at one point they believed enough in Justin Fields to trade for DJ Moore, and then they cool on Justin Fields. They luck out getting the first overall pick because Carolina's terrible. You take Caleb Williams over Jaden Daniels. You've got, you draft Roma Dunze, you acquire Keenan Allen, but your offensive line isn't very good. I guess they did draft Darnell Wright pretty high, and they didn't have him
yeah.
in this game. But I don't know. It just seems like their order of operations is askew in comparison to the premier team in the division, in the conference, in the league.
Wow. All right. So, should we go to the Vikings next?
Let's do it.
All right. So, in the standings, by the way, Detroit's 8-1. The Vikes are 7-2. The Pack is 6-3, and the Bears are 4-5. Okay. So, 25. That's still the best division in football. There's 25 wins. Number two is the AFC West with Andy Reid and Mr. Harbaugh. They got 22 in that AFC West. All right, so the Vikes. They won, you know. I mean, it's 80-degree day. Team from the north goes down to Jacksonville. That's always a tough deal. Packers had a tough one of those recently against they were in Jacksonville, right? Just a couple games ago. It all runs together. Yeah, October 27th. So the Pack won down there in a tight one, and the Vikings won a tight one. All right, so no Trevor Lawrence. The job is a lot easier. Are the Vikings a bit of a fluke? We shall see. I'm not sure. Tyler. They were not impressive in this game. I mean, you kidding me? Mac Jones is awful. And a lot of injuries. That's not a very tough not a tough team to defeat. And it went right till the end, and they win it 12-7. All right, let's go right to Sam Darnold, right? All right.
When you get a chance, look at their schedule too. The Vikings, Titans, Bears twice, Cardinals, Falcons, Seahawks.
The remaining schedule?
I mean, they're going to get to 11, 12 wins minimum.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. I'm not sold. Darnold's like the one scout said, the fumbles are starting, the interceptions are starting, and that's before Sunday in Jacksonville. It wasn't a very optimistic performance if you're a Viking fan. Let's start with Darnold. All right, kind of a miscommunication on his first pick to Jefferson. It's 1st and 10 at the Jag 30. Jefferson really wasn't open. There wasn't much separation. He throws a pick. Now, remember, Darnold had 3 turnovers in Indy the week before. He underthrows Aaron Jones deep. He had all day, 2nd and 7 at the Jag 7, and he throws behind Jefferson. He throws a near interception on a high ball to Addison in the deep middle. It really very easily could have been picked. Then he throws that corner route over there to Jefferson, 3rd and 4 on the 18 of the Jags. He kind of threw the ball late, and here comes Darnell Savage. It's one of the greatest plays of his career to pick that thing off. I mean, it was a great play by Savage. Leaping, nice return. Bad pick. Then he gets a 4th pick overturned by penalty. He threw a deep ball that was pretty well thrown. It's not really his fault. Great pick by Ronald Darby. I will say this, down the stretch, though, after those 3 picks and the pick that was overturned, number 4, he remained fearless in that game down the stretch. He scrambled for 10 on 2nd and 9. 4th and 1, he had a sneak, and he made it. So I don't think he's a guy who's going to shrink away from the fight and give in to, you know, his worst impulses and the white noise out there and all this kind of stuff. But he hasn't played as well. And where is he now on passer rating, Tyler? He's dipped. He's below 100.
So he was, I believe he was like 5th when I posted our Vikings story Sunday morning. And then I went back in to update it for Monday, and he had fell to 11th with
99.2. Yep. So, okay, what else on offense? Hockenson, that's the other big development. So they broke him in real easily in his first appearance. And then in this game, he got targeted about 10 times. I mean, he was just terrific, Tyler. He, 3rd and 6, he lines up wide in trips formation, runs an in route for 7, you know. he's got feet like Devontae Adams, and I hate saying that, but that's how it's off his feet and off his release. He's a hard guy to jam because he's 250, but if you don't do that, he's got feet like a wideout, and he gets open all the time. He's clever. He's got feints. He uses his feet. 3rd and 7, he runs a Y stick for 8. Tough catch in a crowd. He drew a holding penalty on the linebacker Olakon. He beat him one time, held him. 4 third-down conversion receptions he had. Comes off motion, sets in the slot, runs it in against Olakun for 26. He just froze him with the feet. So that's a huge weapon for them that they haven't had for half the year. You got Jefferson, the other tight end. The more I see of Josh Oliver, those scouts, they said that the guy's really a good blocker, and I've noticed that this year. This guy caught a ball for 28. He made 2 really terrific low ball catches. He's a good number 2 tight end. Wow. Naylor, he's not a bad 3. Addison plucked a high ball. He's got great hands. It really adjusted for it. That was a gain of 21. They have weapons. Let's look at the O-line. Robinson, the right tackle, was up against his former team, Cam Robinson. Played really good in this game. I mean, he shut down Josh Allen. What is it? Josh Allen Hines or Hines Allen now. Played really well against him. So, I mean, he's not as good as Darisaw, but they have really got through this, and they're still on their feet. O'Neal, the right tackle, man, he shut down Trayvon Walker in this game. Walker had a sack when he wasn't blocked, but other than that, he was shut down. Ingram had all kinds of problems with Eric Armstead. He's the weak link, the right guard. Bad game for him. I'll finish the offense. Akers, the running back, Cam Akers, he really packs a punch. He bounced it in hard, man. He's a tough hombre. And then Aaron Jones, he's just flowing, he takes a deep handoff from 8 yards deep. He's going to run the A gap, and he just kind of flows off to the end when he sees it. He's got really good vision. He moves to green space. He's impressive. Hurt his ribs in the 3rd quarter. He's back in the 4th, Tyler. The kid's just a gamer. CJ Ham, he's the only pure fullback in the division. He helps him. And then they got a late spark out of Ty Chandler, who was the number 2 back last year. Now he's number 3. He's a pretty good player. So that's it on the Vike offense, Tyler.
The Vikings outgained Jacksonville 402 to 143. First downs were 28-10. They ran 82 plays to Jacksonville's 43. 0 for 5 in that red zone on touchdowns, obviously. And all 3 of Sam Darnold's interceptions were from the Jacksonville 30 and in. So a bonkers game. And that's the question. Like, is this the beginning of the end for Sam Darnold? Is this going to be a slide that just accelerates week to week? Or is it an aberration? Kevin O'Connell said, that he gave no consideration to benching Sam Darnold. And why would he, with how Darnold's played most of this year? But he also has Nick Mullins, who is the ultimate YOLO quarterback, right? I mean, he's kind of hypercharged Sam Darnold out there with the risk taking. So I mean, yeah, they're rolling. They're rolling with Sam here for 2024. I tend to think that he's going to snap out of it. So, like I said, look at their schedule, look at their opponents, look at his weapons, look at his coach, and number 1, it's Sam Darnold. I mean, this is somebody, as we wrote, who he has every right to complain and bitch and moan about everything he's been through. The Jets, total disaster. The Panthers, total disaster. I mean, I really do think that he has improved behind the scenes and landed in a really good spot. I can't see him playing this poorly again. I'd be shocked. I think, but you're not feeling that way. I mean, do you really think that this could continue?
Uh, I'm looking at their schedule like you talked about. I didn't realize it was that weak. This division race is not over, is it? 8-1 against 7-2 and 6-3. No, it's not. Mm-mm. Detroit's going to lose some games. I'm still going back to Aiden Hutchinson. And the other thing, the Vikings have almost been injury free, Tyler. They lost Darisaw. Cashman missed a few games. He played well. They're doing outstanding on the injury department. They got nobody in the injured reserve. J.J. McCarthy, that's, who knows, he wouldn't have maybe contributed at all this year. No. Do I think Darnold will bounce back? Yes. Will he finish in the top 10 in passer rating? No. But the Vikes are going to win 10 or something, 11, get in, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's go to their defense. I mean, this was playing against a JV cast, really, with Mac Jones. So I'm not going to spend much time. Were there any developments? No. Cashman had a nice sack. He bull rushed the center, Mitch Morse, who's a good player. He got a face mask penalty on the play. He got a knockdown on the final interception against Little, the left tackle, which was big. Murphy had a game clinching interception. Nice play. Metellus, again, he's the brains and the guts of this crazy scheme of unpredictable scheme of Brian Flores, and he's a tough hitter. Grenard, kind of slow first half. Second half, he really got after people. He's a good player. Van Ginkel is smart and tough and versatile. Turner's didn't do anything. The three guys up front, they're healthy. Bullard, Tillery, and Phillips, and they're okay. I mean, the Bears had Andrew Billings, and the Vikes got three guys who hang in there, and they kind of muck up the run. Pace, he got a sack in 2.6 seconds, the little guy, 5'10". He gets real low on these blitzes, and you can't see him, and he got under Travis Etienne, got a sack, man. Bynum had a good end zone interception. They're all healthy. They're all playing good. Let's go to the special teams real quick. So their kicker's hurt, Reichard, right? They have a kickoff on Tuesday. They had a guy from Central Arkansas who was a kickoff guy, John Parker Romo, and he hits from 45, 33, 34, and 29, 12 points. The second one, the holder, was really a bad snap. Nice hold by Wright, the punter. That's it. They won. Let's forget about that game. Anything on the Vikes? Any more on the Vikes team?
Not really. I mean, Blake Cashman, good to see him back, wreaking havoc. He played well.
Yep.
Glad he opened up about everything he went through with the Jets. That was pretty fascinating. You're right though. It's Mac Jones. It's the Jaguars. It's not necessarily a barometer, however you slice it. But you look at their schedule, their coaching, their talent, the fact that they had a potentially debilitated injury in Christian Darisaw, and they swiftly added somebody that can at least keep things functioning. You look at that NFC as a whole. In San Francisco, you got Deebo Samuel taking swipes at the kicker. I mean, they win, but they're a mess. The Rams just lost to the Dolphins. I mean, the Cardinals won, but I mean, they got blown out by Green Bay at Lambeau. They've been blown out by Washington. Washington's fun, but they just lost, and I do like Washington, but still, they're young. Jaden Daniels, a rookie quarterback. Philly, they've got talent, but you have to wonder if that coaching's going to hold them back. As I'm saying, you look at the conference, I mean, you can poke holes in just about everyone, even Detroit now with how they played, which we're going to get to now.
All right, so Detroit, they win it against Houston on the road. They come back from a 23-7 halftime deficit. They win it 26-23 to go to 8-1. So on Monday, Dan Campbell addresses the media. I'm reading from the transcript here, Tyler. you know, coaches are so afraid to say anything too too complimentary of their team and their players. Aren't they just so concerned about, oh, let's move on to the next game, you know? He just speaks in real terms that his players understand him. They know what he's getting through. This guy, he really knows how to control the message coming out of here, and yet it's all real. There's no fiction. The guy he's speaking from the gut, you know, and people relate to this. He was asked about if the team has taken on his mantra and his identity. He says, "Well, yeah." And then he goes, "That's why grit's up on the wall, because it doesn't matter how much talent you have, doesn't matter how good your coordinators are, man. Without that as your bedrock, you'll be an inconsistent team." Now, this is kind of a knock at everybody else and what he's trying to install. You win one and then you may lose. You may win, you may lose. But when you've got that and you've made that way and our team embraces that, they buy into it. It's why we have the camps that we have. It's why we do what we do. It's why we pad up. It's why we go live. And it's money in the bank. You invest in that early so that it pays dividends as the season goes along, because you can't do it during the season. And I think that hardens your team. You put them in pressure situations, they buy into that. You figure out who can steady their heart rate and make big plays in the moment. And the guys that maybe that's not their deal, well, you get them out of the way. That's then he says, he closed out the thing on Monday. He said, this is a great win. But if we don't clean up some of these errors and we just kind of sweep them under the rug and, hey, I know, but we won, that stuff will creep up and it's going to bite us. And we'll do that. The coaches are on it and our players are going to be on it. And we'll just stomp it out. He makes so much sense, doesn't he, Tyler?
He can take a complicated sport where there's 22 moving parts, 60 plays a game for one side, and he can put in the simplest human terms. I mean, at the end of the day, it's football. It's he knows where it's won. It's
Yeah.
it's not one with some calculus equation. It's one with the people you bring in. And so they make really good bets, finding people who fit exactly what you just recited. And if you don't fit, you're probably gone. And so when your quarterback throws 5 interceptions, you can still find a way to win. Like, it's not a coincidence that the Lions are winning this way. It's not a coincidence that the Chiefs are 9-0, winning on a block kick. Like, there's no luck involved there. They blocked the kick. It's an impressive play, right? Look throughout the NFL. You got players blowing off snaps. You had Tyreek Stevenson taunting the Washington crowd. These teams and these coaches, the Andy Reeds, the Dan Campbells, they don't put up with that BS, and they find the right player, and it's an attrition too, isn't it? I mean, we've always come back to that with the Lions. Here we are in the middle of November. They've lost a lot of guys to injuries, but there is an attrition on them, just like funneling into the team that they want to be at the right time of year. Like when the playoffs hit, yeah, there's going to be injuries, but you've got guys who are ready to kind of attack that do or die moment because of what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell were looking for.
And Tyler, before we get into the line, I just want to say one more thing. And I know I've been hard on Jaire Alexander, but I don't back off it. You only got 11 guys out there on your defense, 11 guys on a real big field, 100 by 53. And when one guy on the 11 doesn't want to throw his face in there and doesn't want to be physical and wants to let the other 10 do it, it just sticks out like a sore thumb and it can just infest your defense. I can just imagine what the other Packer players on defense think of this when they watch the tape, when they play with this guy. Here's what Dan said about Carlton Davis, the ex-Buck that they signed in free agency this year. He said, man, He says, I pulled him aside yesterday. I told him Saturday night, we're in the special teams meeting. I slipped up right behind him. Man, one of the best moves we made was acquiring you, getting you here. Then he says, and there is nothing better than a cover corner who runs, hits, tackles, fills the run, no fear. They got 11 guys doing that. Branch, even Kirby Joseph is hitting now. He's a fine hitting safety. I've seen that. Arnold, the rookie, they would not have taken him. The guy's a big hitter. That little Robertson, the nickel that they acquired from Las Vegas, the guy's a striker. Campbell's a vicious hitter. So is Anzalone, and on and on and on. That's what they want. And you can have your Jair Alexanders who can cover people, no doubt about it. In man cover, he can do it. And I know balls go, he can sometimes, quarterbacks are afraid to go near him. That helps their defense. I get all that. But he's still not going to hit anybody, really. That hurts a team to me. I'm old school on this, Tyler, but
I'm with you 100%.
are you?
While we're yeah, I mean, while we're finding quotes on these guys, here's what Carlton Davis told me a couple years ago for that story that we've talked about it. And this is where we probably should say, if anybody's listening with children around, to hit pause or mute or something. Carlton Davis, quote, I personally enjoy fucking up everybody. I personally enjoy me being the best version. I enjoy taking it to people. I enjoy making them pay. It's not a particular person. I'm personally invested into my career being great. That comes with me fucking you up, locking you down, putting my hands on you. I mean, the football gods have brought Dan Campbell and Carlton Davis together.
Yeah. All right. So there was a lot of Detroit fans in Houston, wasn't there? Crowd noise was just unreal. Okay, Houston doesn't have Will Anderson. Now, Detroit didn't have Taylor Decker, but they didn't have Will Anderson, so horse apiece. They didn't have Nico Collins. They don't have Diggs anymore. I mean, Stroud, we'll get into him later. Stroud, I mean, he's down two really outstanding receivers. Was he down any linemen? Yeah, he was down his left guard. Kendrick Green didn't play. He had a backup center out there. So they had some problems, but they looked great early and they were blowing Detroit out. The crowd was on fire from Houston. And all right, let's go through the Detroit. Jameson Williams, 2-game suspension. He's back again at Houston. Whew. He wasn't targeted often. How many times? 5 targets, 3 catches for 5-3. Boy, his average is still over 20. 3rd and 16. He double catches the thing, but still, he was in gain of 23, double caught the ball, took a couple of savage hits from 2 guys. He hung on. God, that was impressive. 3rd and 6, he runs in against Lassiter for 13. Nice play. The ball was behind him. Fine catch. And then a very strong catch on a curl late in the second half, gain of 17. Hell of a play. He had a really good game. St. Brown, he just played good. And when the game was on the line, 3rd and 6 with 1:40 left, they played zone against the guy, and he just beat the thing, got open, found a spot. Goff got it to him for 11. Laporta, he's been kind of quiet. Boy, he just showed you what he can do here. That Henry 202, the ex-Alabama inside backer, runs a corner route against the guy for a 20-yard touchdown. It was a great play. Got him in man coverage. And then he runs an over route against the safety from Milwaukee, Eric Murray. And he showed terrific burst and speed, non-tight end speed, 38 yards, took it down to the 2. Injured his shoulder in the 3rd quarter. He might not play this week. That's kind of the feel. All right. Brock Wright, I think he's a really good blocker. St. Brown. Okay, that's it there. Now let's go to the offensive line. So Decker gets hurts his shoulder Thursday in practice. So there's not much practice time. I think they considered moving Sewell from right to left and starting Dan Skipper, the old veteran, at right. But they figured keep Sewell where he is and we'll play Skipper. Skipper had about 4 pressures. He's that 6'7" guy. He's been around about 7, 8 years. He played okay. I mean, he's up against Daniil Hunter, and Hunter had 3 of those pressures against him. It could have been worse. I don't know if Decker's back this week or not, but they got by with it. Frank Ragnow, he just bodies people, Tyler. And these are not combo blocks. He just, whether they're down blocks or if the guy's head up on him, he just moves them. He takes them where they want to go. He's a big body, and he's got really good lower body strength. He's a terrific player. Zeitler and Glasgow, they were okay. And Sewell, he gave up a strip sack that Danico Autry, a guy who I thought the Packers were going to sign like in 2016, but he went somewhere else. I think he had a failed physical, and he's had a really good career, Danico Autry, Tennessee, and now he's in Houston. Yeah, he beat Sewell up in 3.7 seconds on a sack. All right, should we go to Goff, Tyler? Okay, Goff. All right, so he throws 5 picks, right? So I'm not even what Campbell said on Monday and Sunday after the game. He's not worried about it. There's no reason to be worried about it. Let's look at the 5. The first one, he's thrown to the flat. The ball's batted and gets picked off. All right, that's not his fault. Then he gets strip sacked. Could have been a fumble, but they ruled it an interception. Guy returns it. I mean, that was on Sewell. It's not on Goff. And he throws the Hail Mary to end the half. Some guys don't even want to throw those Hail Marys at the end of halves because it might get picked. That's not his fault. So 3 aren't his fault.
Can you give us an example, Bob?
No, I'm not going there. You want to?
He's not listening to the podcast. He's too busy with
Rodgers
McAfee.
didn't like doing some of that stuff. Now, if the game on the line, he had to. But
Right.
in a normal game at halftime, he's not going to go put that thing up there in harm's way and hurt that passer rating.
Which is nuts because he is maybe one of the best throwers of the Hail Mary that we've ever seen.
Yep. But we noticed
why
that
not?
for years, didn't we, Tyler?
Yeah.
There's a lot of instances. All right. Now his 4th one, he throws in the red zone. He missed Laporta. That's what I say. But then Campbell, and I believe Campbell, he says on Monday that Laporta was late getting his head around. You can remember that play, Tyler? Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I'm saying Dan's saying half Laporta, half Goff. Okay? Now let's go to number 5. That's when he threw that bomb down the left side to Jamo. And I wrote down the ball was thrown inside and it had to be outside. But what did Dan say? He said Jamo should have taken a higher angle. Now, most of these coaches, they don't really even want to discuss these kind of plays. They're not going to assign responsibility. They're all afraid. This guy's just going to be honest to that Detroit audience. He's not worried about his players coming at him, talking about him behind their back. No, they know he's real. And he says, yeah, Jamo should have had a higher angle. So I'm going to give half Goff, half Jamo on the thing. So out of 5, I'm giving 1 total, 2 halves to Goff. Goff was fine. Now, he did have he threw low to St. Brown late in the 3rd quarter, incomplete. He had a delay of game penalty. He threw a home run ball to Jamo that was underthrown. But at the end of the game, he completed that ball to St. Brown. And in the end, they won it. The running backs, again, I mean, these guys are how many touches? This time, Gibbs, 21 touches for 108. And Montgomery, 13 for 56. So a cool 164 yards against a really aggressive defense. That That Jalen Petrie, the nickel, what a player, Tyler.
He's
Holy
tough.
cow. Man, what a player. People thought about him like that he would be great in college, and scouts were saying that. So Gibbs, that fourth quarter speed, runs off right in, gains of 15, gains of 20 when the Lions were coming back. And then Montgomery, boy, on that 2 point conversion, I was shocked. He got halted at the one on that running play, but that was Petrie. Petrie hit him dead square, and Montgomery did not go forward. That was just Petrie is tough. Um, that's it for the Lion offense, Tyler.
This is neither here nor there. It's pretty funny. There was somebody on X who decided to have a little fun during this game. At Master Civ, he tweeted, "Interesting," in all caps. This is now Jared Goff's seventh career game with at least four interceptions. His record in those games, 6-0, insinuating that he went 7-0. And he later said that he could just completely made the whole thing up just to, as a almost like a social experiment. What happened? Aaron Rodgers, hanging out with his pal Pat McAfee, brought that tweet up, brought it up, and cited it as fact. And McAfee and Hawk kind of nodded along and said, "Yeah, like." So. I mean, I guess you cut Aaron a little slack if this is a tweet that went viral during the game, but he just saw it, read it, assumed it was true, and everybody just
Interesting.
carries on.
How's Aaron doing in New York, Tyler?
About as well as we thought he would be doing at this point.
Was he was on your disappointing 5 man player list, right?
Yeah, I think he took up permanent residency on that list since 2022.
He's in there at 23 on the rating at 86.8. 23rd.
Did you watch any of the Arizona Jets game?
None.
I mean, the 4 o'clock slot was horrid across the board. But yeah, it was bad. I mean, he just is. He's old. He's slow. He's cranky. He's miserable. Even if he retires, the Jets have to eat so much money. I mean, we need to talk about the Jets for an hour. I know this is an NFC North podcast, but I can remember being really excited about the young nucleus that they had there, like Sauce Gardner, Brees Hall, Quinnen Williams, Garrett Wilson. You had a lot of young talent on rookie deals, and you allow Aaron Rodgers to come in and just completely capsize the entire franchise. I mean, they get everything they deserve. It's been a disaster, but this should be the year. Even with Zach Wilson being a terrible draft pick, number 2 overall, right? Total bust, didn't work out. Even with that, they could have pivoted so many other directions. I mean, Russell Wilson has Pittsburgh thinking Super Bowl right now. Oh boy. Yeah, who could have saw this coming, right?
um,
I know we're too hard on Aaron Rodgers. Sorry.
oh my God, yeah, the poor man.
Yeah, we're too hard on him.
He's
But
got a birthday coming up, doesn't he, in December, if I remember?
I am unaware of his
Oh
birthday
yeah.
festivities.
I remember all those years always saying the 31-year-old or the 32, you'd have to look up his date of birth. I think it's on December something. He'll be 41 on December 2.
Hmm.
Okay. Is he going to play another year?
Hey, maybe he can come on the podcast
Does
for
anybody
his birthday.
does anybody want him?
No,
No.
say he's a free agent. Say Aaron Rodgers is a straight free agent.
Yeah.
There's no cap hit. There's no ramifications financially. None of that. You can have him as is right now as your starting quarterback. Is there one team in the NFL that would sign him playing the way he's playing?
He's kind of poison. I would the Raiders?
I don't think Antonio Pierce would want a player to come in that is going to completely have autonomy to do whatever he wants, right? He seems old school. He's the biggest voice, the biggest presence in that building. So I don't think so. I don't think the Raiders even take him.
He's not going cross town to the Giants, is he?
I don't even think the Giants would take him. I would rather start Tommy DeVito than Aaron Rodgers right now. Give me Tommy Salami.
um, would the Saints do anything?
Nah, Derek Carr's playing better than Aaron Rodgers.
And he'll be back from injury. Okay.
He is back. Yeah, they just beat Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, he played in that game. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Right now, there's not somebody else will get hurt, suffer an Achilles or something. Who knows? All right, Tyler. Let's go to the Lion defense.
Aaron really took us off the rails there.
Yeah. All right. So Zadarius Smith was on the sideline with a iPad, telling everybody what to do, sharing his wisdom, spreading it. I couldn't believe it. I mean, the guy's never practiced one day, and he's in there telling these players what to do. Are you shitting me? You got to have a lot of balls, Tyler. And Z seemed good about it, didn't he?
Yeah, he's got a set on him, I suppose. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was in charge. Yeah.
And then he was quoted in the paper today saying that, I don't know. And he said whatever he pointed out had an impact on the pass rush in the second half. It helped contribute to the 4 sacks, he was saying.
Already making his voice heard. His impact is felt.
Right. So that's Zadarius. So we'll see him this week against wherever they are, at Tennessee, I think. Okay. Oh, interesting developments. Josh Paschal, the big end. He and Onwuzurike started at the ends. Paschal had a good game. He kept stuffing that rookie tight end, Stover. Cade Stover, yeah. He got a sack late. That was a forced fumble. He got a knockdown. Played pretty good. The guys they got off their bench, they got this Pat O'Connor. He's from Eastern Michigan. He's in like his 8th year. He's been with like 5 teams.
I mean, you could make up a player, Bob. You could just make somebody up, and I'd believe you.
Yeah.
Jimmy McCrickets. Yeah, he's Saginaw Valley State.
I've noticed this O'Connor, Pat. He's been playing the tie for about 4 games. He only played.
You just called me Pat. Are you carrying conversations like this with your wife? Are you and Pat just Saturday night talking about the Lions pass rushers?
So O'Connor,
poor Pat. I feel so bad for her.
He hustles his ass off, this guy. I mean, he's bought into this whole Lion mystique or whatever. I mean, he gets a sack against Patterson, the backup center, 3.5. I mean, he's running around. He chases on screens. Wingo, the rookie, did not play well. James Houston. He set up a sack with a flush against Jeremy Tunsil. He beat him around the edge. He runs that hoop about 25 times every couple of games, and he succeeds one. But he was pretty good. So, and McNeil played very well as always, and Reeder was quiet. All right, so let's look at the linebackers. In base now, they're starting Campbell and Neiman, the Iowa guy who's been around the league for about 7 years. He was with the Chiefs for a couple of years. They're starting him inside, and Anzalone at Sam. Then when they go 2 backers, Neiman gets out of there. So they've lost Derek Barnes, and they've lost Malcolm Rodriguez. So they're playing, down, and Neiman, he was okay. How many snaps for Neiman? He only played 13. Campbell, he had some problems adjusting the motion on a touchdown pass to Mixon. He got beat by Dalton Schultz in man coverage reception for 17. But But again, the guy does show range. He's 6'4.5". When he doesn't bite and when he zone drops, he's got quite a coverage radius. And he is a hard hitting guy. He's no nonsense. He's right out of the Campbell school, Aaron Glenn school. I thought Aaron Glenn, this guy, he's got to get a job. This guy's a hell of a football coach. And boy, he shut out the Texans in that second half with doing all kinds of things. Very impressive. Anzalone, he got killed in man coverage also by Schultz, gain of 32. They blitzed 6. He had to cover third quarter. So Glenn has to blitz because he doesn't have Aiden Hutchinson. And it puts a guy like Anzalone in a real strain, and he's going to get beat sometimes. All right, the secondary. Boy, they were good. Holy man. Let's start with Branch, the number one safety in a stacked group of NFC North safeties. Holy man. Almost every game I got about 10 plays for him, almost every game. On a toss, he just takes on the tight end, sheds him, and tackles Mixon for -1. He a great breakup inside against that little quick guy, Dell. He killed Mixon on a screen. Great open field tackle. PBU on 3rd and 8. Stops a wide receiver screen, gain of 1. PBU in the middle against Hutchinson. Wow. Heavy hit at the line of scrimmage, 0. Now, he's chasing Mixon across the field one time. He looked really slow, Tyler. And that, he ran 4.58. This guy, he's doing it on anticipation, smarts, film study. But, he's not a real fast safety by any means. And then he got beat by Hutchinson, the wideout on a hook for 10. Okay. But the guy's a heavy hitter. He can blitz. We got all that. All right. Joseph, there wasn't much getting through, so they did a great job against Mixon, who's a hell of a back. Is Mixon as good as Josh Jacobs? He's kind of right there with him. They're similar.
He's been so good this year.
They're both really good, man. And what did he have? This is a tribute to Aaron Glenn. 25 for 46, 1.8 with a long of 8. Mixon was getting so pissed during that game, and I can see why. So Detroit really, really mucked up that line of scrimmage. All right, Terry and Arnold. He gives up the pass interference against Hutchinson, 41-yard penalty, 2nd and 16. He's had a bunch this year. It's been cut back in the last month, but he got beat by John Mechie, the kid who's come back through all that personal travail. He got beat a couple times. He got beat on a post. He should have dug that ball out on that 15-yard touchdown on the post. I thought he blew a coverage on the next play, a 10-yard pass to Dell. He made a great breakup, though, on that 3rd and 4 at the 2-minute warning. Maybe he got there a tad early, but there was no call. Kid's a tough guy. He hits. And then Carlton Davis had a great game. He had a run force against Mixon early. Very tough solo tackle on Mixon, gain of 1. These corners are out there tackling Tyler. And, all right, I'm not going to get going on that other thing. He made the great interception on that out to Dell, first play of the second half, which just started the comeback. It really did. And then on the bootleg, the ball hung. Stroud threw a horrible pass, and he went up there and made a leaping interception, high-pointed that thing. Very tough tackle low against Mixon. Robertson, he mashed that wide receiver screen for -5. The guy's 5'8.5", and he's just playing physical. He plays like Kason Nixon does, but he's 20 pounds lighter. These are physical, tough guys. They don't give a darn about their body. That's what Campbell and Glenn want from their people, and that's what they get. That's it on the defense. I'll just say Stroud did not have Collins and Diggs. But, Tyler, I just don't see C.J. Stroud. I got to see a lot more. Yes, when he can stand back there, he throws a beautiful ball, it's like Dan Marino kind of ball. He just zips them in there. But just the whole package. I just don't see it right now. I mean, I haven't seen all that much, but even in a year and a half, I don't think he's a great QB right now. So that's Detroit's defense, Tyler.
That's interesting. And, he doesn't have Nico Collins, doesn't have Stephon Diggs, but everybody has
Right.
injuries. He didn't look like the CJ Stroud of last year in this game. He didn't look like the CJ Stroud that when I talked to Kurt Warner for our Jordan Love story ahead of the year, I'm crowning him, future Hall of Famer. And Kurt's trying to talk me down. Hey, take it easy, Tyler. I said, all right, well, Kurt, like, who's a quarterback that you love that really could be everything that I think Jordan Love maybe one day, and he didn't hesitate. He just was gushing over CJ Stroud and everything he saw on film with his anticipation. And yeah, I mean, it's even with these guys down, I think you want to see your quarterback win when the other team has 5 interceptions, and he wasn't able to do it. But the reason that people listen to this podcast and subscribe to Go Long, Bob, is we have to deep dive an investigation right now. Did James Houston poop his pants during this game?
Where's that coming from?
So, those who maybe are on X or the like, they saw the zoom in of James Houston in the first half. It surely looked like he did shit himself. I mean, it's right exactly where a man would poop his pants during a football game. And second half, he comes out fresh pair of pants, all good to go. It didn't take James long to dispute the notion that he pooped his pants because this thing was going viral online. This is at 11:45 p.m. So this is like right after the game. He must have checked his phone and been like, "Holy hell!" I mean, the poor guy. He's been inactive and waiting for this opportunity forever, right? Like he finally plays, has a sack, creates another sack, like has a role on a Super Bowl contender, and he's got to defend himself. He tweets, "Hey y'all, I had sat on some Gatorade. Just chill." So his excuse is that he sat on Gatorade. It seems a little far-fetched, James. I love you, but I oh. So you put yourself in James's position here. Like let's say for the sake of argument that he did poop his pants during the game. What would you, Bob McGinn, do if you're James Houston? You pooped your pants, you win this game, you go to the locker room, your phone's blowing up. What do you do?
You say you sat on Gatorade. It's a hell of a line, isn't it?
I mean, okay, I guess there is a fraction of a chance that he did sit on Gatorade. I don't know how one sits on Gatorade. Is it just sitting there?
It's all over the bench, Tyler.
Yeah, but if you sit on it, it would be like a little more splattered on your backside. It would be directly where the anus is located. Right? I mean, you got to look at the footage. Go back, rewatch the film, and then we'll have to record another podcast to get to the bottom of this.
I never saw this thing. Okay.
It does not look like he sat on Gatorade. I'll just say that. See, my thing is, in today's day and age, like, honesty is the best policy, as my dad always says. Just be honest, and everybody will love you. At that point, it's already out there. Everybody sees it. I mean, Lamar Jackson had the same kind of deal where he like left the game against Cleveland, and it looks like he's clenching on the way to the bathroom when they show him running to the locker room, and he made up an excuse too. I think he said he had cramps or something. Like, look, we all gotta go. Look, who knows? I'm sure a lot of people listening right now have pooped their pants as an adult. It happens. Okay. It happens. He could have spun zone it and said, look, Dan Campbell is he's coaching the shit out of us. What are we gonna do? Right? Figuratively and literally. It could have gone a lot of different directions here. I don't know. Maybe next time I'm out in Detroit, some time will have passed and I can talk to James about this. And
well, James, certainly. You know him well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Good night. Where was the restaurant, Tyler, in Detroit? The Chop House?
It was a steakhouse. It was downtown Detroit. It was
not the London Chop House.
The London. Chop House, I want to say. Yes, the London Chop House
Yeah,
on Congress. What is that, Congress Street? Yeah,
I think so.
that was great. So he shows some life, albeit
Yeah.
with a little.
All right, we better mention the special teams. I mean, the guy won the game. So,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Sorry.
I think Michael Badgley would have been their kicker, and then
Hmm.
he got injured in mid-August. Bates was in camp, the UFL star for the Detroit franchise. I don't know what Campbell would have done. And so Bates has only missed one extra point. I think he's now 14 of 14 on field goals. Yeah, 32 out of 33 PATs. So he hits from 58 off the right hash. Do you think it grazed the right upright?
I think the announcers were saying if there's an extra coat of paint on the goalposts that
It
would have hit. It was not far
was
off.
close. Then he hits with the game on the line. He hits from 52. He hit it from the left hash, and it was just inside the left upright. Won the game. 58 and 52. Where meanwhile, Fairburn, the long distance daredevil for the Texans, he missed from 58 with 2:30 left. Fox, after people said so many nice things on the midseason report, he had a terrible game. 4 punts, the net was 36-3. First three kicks were all poor, poor. And then another one, he outkicked his coverage. He got outpunted by Tommy Townsend. Not good. Okay, so that's the Lions. That's it, Tyler.
Just a good reminder too. Go back, read Bob McGinn's mid-season all NFC North team, rooted in extensive conversations with scouts and execs throughout the NFL. Just a ton of insight in there. So I posted it shortly after you sent it to me, Bob, and I was getting some text messages from some of our subscribers who couldn't believe that Xavier McKinney was behind. I think he had him behind Branch, Kirby Joseph,
And Bynum,
and Bynum.
he was fourth. Yeah.
So I was bringing up your astute observation on the lack of physicality, tackling ability. I'm guessing that plays a role, but the guy does have 6 interceptions.
No
These Packer
doubt.
fans who weren't happy with that. They do have a point.
That's why I had him ahead of Jaquan Brisker, who had a terrific year. Harrison Smith is a key part of that Minnesota thing. He's
Yeah.
6. I mean, Evan Williams, that guy's played good too. I mean, this is a loaded position. McKinney's played good. Branch, Joseph, and Bynum have been a little bit better. What can you say?
What else surprised you? Like, and remember, this is it's your opinion on the ranking at each position, but it's really the scouts, right? I mean, you're basing this
Right,
all off of how the scouts see these guys.
right.
What surprised you the most in your conversations with everyone?
A position you made, or
Let's do this. Like a player who they really, really love that might have surprised you a little bit, and a player that they were really, really down on that surprised you a little bit.
there weren't a whole lot of surprises, Tyler, because I've seen almost every game all these teams have played. And in almost all these cases, these guys saw him the way I saw him. I can't, I really wasn't taken aback by, I didn't feel that there was anybody that I was way off on in my own thinking. Interesting, Blake Cashman, one guy really liked Cashman, and another guy put him like ninth or 10th on the importance to the Viking defense. Now they got a lot of players, and he put him like ninth or 10th. I can't remember. So that was, I mean, the stuff about Quay Walker. I mean, I see all that. They see all that. I know there's one or two here. Let me zip through. Here, I got a printout of that story, Tyler. Nothing at wide receiver. I know there's a few. People were really high on Braxton Jones. That was a really tough call. who to put third at left tackle, Braxton Jones or Rasheed Walker. That was a really tight call. That's a tie, really. I'm just kind of looking here. Zach Tom and Brian O'Neill for the number 2 slot at right tackle behind Penei Sewell. That was tight as could be. I gave it to Tom, but it was really close. The tight ends, Laporta, Komet, and Kraft, really tight, very tight. I mean, just flip a coin. Tyler, there really wasn't that many shocking things. I thought there was one that really, no, I don't think so. It kind of felt good that I was seeing them the way these experts were seeing them.
Check it out, golongtd.com, as well as my story on the Minnesota Vikings. Spending a week with this team. I mean, Harrison Smith, Stephon Gilmore, Cam Akers, Brian O'Neill, Blake Brandel, Jonathan Grenard. We chatted for a long time about his life and how it really connects to everything going on with that Brian Flores defense. Shaquille Griffin didn't hold back. Yeah, he thinks it's going to be an all-time defense. Really enjoyed getting to try to understand what's cooking in Minnesota. So that is also live at the site. Blake Cashman profile. Thank you for subscribing. And before we sign off, let's get to a memory.
All right, Tyler. In October of 2016, I interviewed Bob Harlan, and we're talking about, I think at that point, well, I don't know, we're talking about Packer trainers over time. I mean, the first one really was Bud Jorgensen, and he was talking about him. And then we started talking about Dominic Gentili, who spent 32 years with the Packers. And I asked him about whether Dominic should be in the Packer Hall of Fame. And Bob said, he's on the list. I think because he's on that committee, he knows. It's a long list, but he is on it. He gave a lot of time to this organization. So he's not been elected yet to the Packer Hall, but this memory is going to be on Dom Gentili. Dom was quite a man. Bob Harlan said at that point, he said he was like a father figure to these guys. That's the way Domo was. Everybody called him Domo, D-O-M-O. Dominic Gentili, D-O-M-E-N-I-C. He said he'd walk into dinner at training camp. That'd be at St. Norbert College. My daughter worked there one summer during the team dinners. And all the players would yell, Domo, Domo. They all wanted him to come and sit at their table. They wanted him. This guy, born and raised in Hurley, Wisconsin, way up in the northwest corner of the state, played for the Hurley Midgets. How about that nickname, huh, Tyler? Played for the Midgets, played at North Dakota State University, coached high school ball 2 years at Rudolph, Wisconsin, 2 years at Chilton, Wisconsin, home of Dave Casper, 30 miles south of Green Bay, and 11 years for the West Appear Phantoms. And then he was working for the Packers part-time, and then they hired him full-time, and he eventually spent 32 years with the Packers. So Damo, he used to talk to me, Tyler, almost every practice during the star years when I was on the beat, and then more when I was full-time, number one on the beat during the Greg years and the Infani years, and then early Holmgren. He wouldn't tell you much. He'd never give you all that much, but he'd basically let you know if the guy was going to play or not that Sunday, if on a Wednesday or Thursday. We'd be walking from the old practice field up through the parking lot, up to the locker room. And so I just want to tell you a personal story about Damo. So in 1989, I played rec basketball in the leagues in Green Bay until I was 39. So in this one in 1989, I'm 37. And the team I played on, the press box, we were in the Green Bay Park and Rec Department Contenders Tournament. They had an upper bracket for the top teams, the middle bracket for medium, and then the lower bracket. We're in the middle bracket. We had three college players on this team, big guys. Terry Dufour was our star, and then Ben and Tony Trotter from Gladstone, Michigan. They were outstanding. Terry Dufour was my best friend from Escanaba days. Anyway, I had never suffered a knee injury, and I got a knee injury in the first game in this tournament, and we had three more in the next week to try to win it all. And this is March of '89, and there's no off season at that point. There's no free agency. There's nothing. So, I mean, I never asked the Packers for a ticket. I never asked them to buy a ticket. I mean, I felt there was conflict of interest. I never crossed that line. But I guess here's the one time I did, and I'm going to confess it. I called Damo, and I said, Damo, I'm in this basketball tournament. Now, remember, he was a high school basketball coach, and he was from West De Pere, and my kids played at De Pere. I lived in De Pere. And he said, I said, I got a couple more games to play. You got any kind of a brace or something like that? Or can you look up my knee? That's what I said. I had to have something quick. I said, do you mind if I? He said, no. He says, come on over like at 1 o'clock or something. There's nobody around. This is March, mid-March. So I go over there and go up the loading dock in the old building. He's down there meeting me, and so we walk back to the trainer's room that I had never been in before or since. That is off limits, NFL trainers' rooms. I never set foot in there, Tyler, in 40 years, except this one time. So, I mean, he wasn't a doctor, but these trainers, they know athletic injuries better than doctors, man. He just knew exactly. So, okay, what do you got here? So he's checking my knee out with right knee. He says, well, you got a little strain here. And he knew what the hell was going on. He says, let's get something for that. So he goes over to this cabinet and he opens his drawer. Tyler, there must have been 100 knee braces, 150, just laden with all this old stuff, probably dating back to Lombardi. And this guy was a master at crafting new bandages and new protective devices to fit each player's injury. I remember doing a story on that years later. Players thought this guy was a god, man. Not only was a father figure, but he could rig stuff up. Well, he says, here, look at this. So he pulls out this kind of a canvas elastic thing, maybe a foot long, with the kneecap open, kind of beige with plastic hinges or inserts on the side of the knee. I don't know. He was talking about, I think, is that called an Anderson brace? The medical people would know. I think maybe it is. So anyway, he said, here, put this on. So I was putting it on backwards. He said, no, the other way. So I'm pulling it on. So he's walk around on that. So I'm walking in the trainer's room. I said, feels good. He said, how's it feel? I said, great. I said, I think this will help. He says, all right. He says, go win the game, win the tournament. And he says, don't bring it back. He says, you can see I got enough braces here, right, Bob? I says, yeah, okay, thank you, Damo. So I go and play. And I was a starter and played 3 games. We won this damn thing. I got the trophy still. And we won that middle bracket of the contenders tourney with that brace. So I can't remember if I gave that back to Damo or not. I might have called him and said, Damo, something to the effect that, hey, I'm not going to feel good if I keep this brace. And he might have said something like, McGinn, so you bring that fucker back here, I'll kill you. I don't need the brace. Keep it, throw it out, give it to somebody else. So I think I kept it, but I'm not sure. But that's the kind of guy he was. He's a wonderful man. I hope he gets in the Hall of Fame. This guy here, let me read you one quote when he was named Trainer of the Year. Kurt Fielding, who's still working there now under Flea. He had been under Pepper Burris. Damo, by the way, died at age 70 in 2000. Mm-hmm. January 2000. One day into the new century. Dominic knows exactly what to say to a player, Fielding said. He can always come up with a solution to a problem. If a player comes to him for help, he'll be in a much better mood after Dominic has worked with him. And Damo said, I feel like a father to these young trainers, but I don't like to give them that impression. just seems like I'm a second father to them at times. This guy, he should be in the Hall of Fame. 32 years, players, he was a confidant. He was true blue. He loved those Packers just like Lee Remmel loved them. There's a lot of great people in that organization, and he was one of them, and I nominate him for the Hall of Fame. That's it, Tyler.
Phenomenal. And he has a book out, The Packer Tapes, My 32 Years with the Green Bay Packers. Dominic Gentile,
Italian.
sorry. With Gary D'Amato. Gary co-wrote it.
Our colleague. Yeah, it's a great book. I have that and I read it. Yep. I think he signed it for me. Yeah.
So you can get one there on Amazon Prime, $7 if you want more stories like that. And hey, put a good word in out there. Word of mouth is a powerful thing. Bob McGinn says he should be in the Packers Hall of Fame. Maybe the movement just started right here on the Ty and Bob pod. I got to say, too, when I played rec basketball here in Green Bay, I think we were in the Pine division, which was like the lowest division. And I didn't last as long as you either. Like I'm 37 now, and I've been retired from rec / pickup basketball for a good 5.5, 6 years. So this is like age 30, 31, and we were not very good. I mean, it was, the Hagemeister Park Media Mafia members, and we were always younger, more athletic than the teams we played. But these older guys in our division they knew how to win. Like they'd go zone, they'd play old man ball, 10-foot jumpers. There was one guy, he had to have been 66 years old. He'd pull up at the foul line and just drain them. And so I think we started 0-8 in that league. 0-8. No, 0-7. 0-7, because then we won, and then we had the 0-8, no we ain't chant as we got beers at Hagemeister Park on Washington Street. So we were just always looking forward to, getting a few pops in after the wins or losses, because we did end up finishing pretty strong there. I think we won our final 5 games or so.
So some of this contenders tournament, the first 2 games were at Franklin Junior High, home of the West Wildcats for years and years, and then the final 2 were at Green Bay Southwest. You remember that, Jim? That nice new one built in the late 60s? 2 games there. Other games, remember, Tyler, in those rec leagues at Preble?
We'd go to all the high schools.
Junior High.
Yeah. Oh, man, it was great. Competitive. Yeah. Then I started hearing horror stories of people tearing their Achilles in their 40s and 50s and 60s, and just said, you know what, I'll get ahead of this. I don't really want to hobble around on crutches. It's kind of sad, though. I loved it. You got to scratch a competitive itch somehow. All right.
Nothing better. The best thing about basketball, being part of a team and teamwork, passing the ball with 4 other guys and being part of a team. I love that part about it in basketball.
Oh, it's the best.
Yep.
You can learn everything you need to know about somebody by the way they play basketball, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
Good point.
Such a indicator of character and personality. How you play basketball and how you treat a waitress. I think it says a lot about you in those settings.
Yeah, interesting.
Another analogy, Harrison Smith, when he was trying to describe the Brian Flores defense, and this makes a lot more sense the more you watch them play, he said it's like pickup basketball. Because you're just, you're not, there's no run fits. They don't try to plug gaps in the run game at all. Even in coverage, they're not like meticulously dropping into very specific places on the field. It's a lot of feel and flow and rhythm, and it's not a coincidence that they have a lot of players who have played together before. I mean, think about the ex-Texans alone. Grenard, Cashman, Griffin, Van Ginkel played for Flores in Miami. So like that familiarity, it's like you and your buddies just getting together playing pickup ball and, running a 3-on-2 break and knowing exactly where everybody's going to be. It's just kind of a feel out there. So I thought that made some sense the way he put it. But you weren't impressed with the Vikings.
Not in this game. But they're in a great division and they're 7-2. How could you not be impressed with them?
All right. Let's sign off.
Yeah,
Bob, thank you so much. This was
you
great.
got it. Thanks, everyone.